think you'll have probably seen that when life gives you scraps, make quilts. But I have a teacher friend, and when I retired, she gave me that cut. She gave it to me and said, we'll probably never see you again. You'll just sew all the time. She's right. I haven't been back. I've seen people, but I don't, I went to graduation. I do stuff like that, but I don't go back and hang out, and I do not sub. So, not that I would have a problem subbing. I just kind of made up my mind that if I was too old to do the day-to-day and keep up with all the changes that were happening in public education, that the kids probably needed people with more stamina than I had, and maybe even a different mindset, people who grew up with technology and all that stuff. So, and I like technology. I used to always tell the kids when they're when other people were saying to them, we would have those conversations, when other people were saying to them, oh, you people in your phones, you young people in your phones, in your video games, I guarantee you, if somebody put a phone in their hand at the age of 12 or 13, they'd have been just as addicted I would have been, because I like my pocket computer. I have it in on a charger right now, and that kind of, I don't know, man, can I do this? Maybe I want to use my phone. Maybe I don't want to use my... Anyway, you get the point. You get the point. So, I hope everybody's having a good week. Hope your weather's been beautiful and summery. We're starting to get a lot of summery temperatures in between the rains. We've had quite a bit of rain lately, which is good for our area. We've needed it. My pond is finally starting to look like a pond again and not just a extra large puddle. And the lake, of course, I live kind of in a vacation area, or and there's a lake, a huge, but man, it's really it looks really good. So it had gotten kind of low, and so that's good. Getting radishes and onions out of my garden. My peas are blooming, and my tomatoes are blooming, and I have peppers that have set on, and that's about all I do, because I kind of container garden. I've kind of got these 4 things that I garden in, but this really is not my favorite time of year. I really love fall and early spring and winter, but I have enjoyed being able to get outside a lot lately. I don't know. It seems like maybe my winter was cold and I spent a lot of extra time inside. So, I don't even know where to start. I have stuff. I've been cleaning in here, and I do a little bit each day, and then I move on to 14 other things. So I'm getting it down to where I'm starting to feel like I'm really making some progress and getting things spring clean, summer clean, whatever you want to call it. And I got some sad news. One of my quilt shops is closing, and I'm gonna go down there tomorrow and help out, work for a day. Some of the people who work for Sherry are, they're not available tomorrow. And she called me and asked me if I would, and I'm like, oh yeah, shopping at going out of business prices. I can go do that. And then next week I'm going down there and taking 2 long arm classes, 2 workshops on one on Pro Stitcher and one on Handy Quilter. And I love to take Handy Quilter classes. That's what I long arm on. And I love Pro Stitcher classes, and that's fun. And it's kind of a sad time, because I've met a lot of really neat people going to that shop. First, the owner, and I've worked a couple of quilt shows for and demonstrated machines, and she started this long arm club, and I've been going to that for a couple of years, and I met a lot of people there. There were about 10 of us, and just fun people that I really enjoy. And I'm kind of struggling with the idea that I'm gonna lose that group. But, also a friend and I are trying to create a sit and stitch group up here in our area where we live. This quilt shop I'm talking about is a little over an hour away from me. And so, we're trying to do something more up closer to where we live, and just take not take machines or anything, just take handwork. And we have opened it up so it could be an eclectic group. You could bring hand stitching, you could bring needlepoint, crochet, knitting, whatever. And we're going to meet, we're going to try to set it up, try to get enough people started over the summer that this fall we can make it, kind of a fall, winter, add on, and maybe add another day through that time so that people have a place to visit and socialize, because it is so good to get out of your house and go see people. It is good for you to do that, and it kind of keeps me from being crazy. So not literally, but anyway, so I'm kind of hoping that we'll get that going, and teaching classes. I've been setting up some classes and working on that need to socialize and sew. The two things I like best, talking and sewing. So had that going on, and I've really been working on the emotions of losing my quilt shop. I go to many quilt shops, and I love the ones that I frequent. I love them, and I love what they carry, or I love the people that work there, or both, or they carry different types of things. And I don't live very far from Columbia, Missouri, and there's 3 quilt shops there, and one's where I like to buy my sewing machines, and she has great fabric, and the other one has Tilda and Tula and some Cafe sometimes, and just all the stuff. And the one in Hannibal that I like to go to has got an entire section of Tilda, and she has Cafe. I mean, like a lot of Cafe and all kinds of free spirit, and the brighter and I like it all. I was listening to the Sisterlies yesterday and talking to them because they did a live, and they have some kind of a joke that I don't understand that kind of goes through. Colleen doesn't really like bright colors, and I listen and kind of laugh because to me, I can think of colors I don't use real often that I have to remind myself to use, but it's not because I don't like them. It's just I get in a rut, and I have my favorites, and I have my favorite colors, and so my favorite color is green, and I do very little with green, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. But my favorite color is green. I don't wear a tremendous amount of green. I don't sew with a big lot of green. I mean, I add a little green in things, don't get me wrong, but but I listen to them, and I think it's funny because it's like she talks about primitive. Well, I love primitive coloring, and I love to do wool stuff, but I like for it to have a little more modern, less primitive flair to it. But I have people in my life that really like the primitive stuff, and so I try to meet in the middle and do little gifts for them sometimes. But it's just fun to listen to them banter back and forth about color, because I've been going through all my fabric, which is over there, going through all of my fabric, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you have so much stuff. But I was gonna show you, and I didn't bring it in. Okay, we have to have a pause. I'm going to see if I can pause, and I'll be okay. Now I can talk about green. When I first started quilting, there were just there weren't that many quilt magazines, and the ones that they were, I bought, and I have a stack like this, and I'd take them to the quilt guild I belonged to at the time or whatever, and I'd share whatever. And I've kind of gotten in my head that when I teach classes, I'm going to put together a little whatever and take and say, look guys, if you want any of this, feel free to take it. I'm done with it, or whatever. One of the groups that contacted me about a class, they just meet, I think, once a week. I know at least once a month, but I'm thinking once a week. And they just charity sew together. They sew for charity. And so I thought, I have too much fabric. And if I would go through and pick some of that fabric that I'd be willing to just relinquish to whoever or whomever, I might, fix a little box of that kind of stuff and say, take this and use it in your charity quilts or whatever. Good for me, good for them, and good for the world in many, many ways, because, we can do so much. We can do, we can help people. We can help people. So anyway, green. Let's talk about color and green. So first of all, I love green. I buy things that are green. I buy everything green, but I don't use them a lot in quilts. And so I used to buy all these magazines. Well, now there's so much online that I don't buy a lot of magazines, or not as many, and I don't have subscriptions. I get AQS because I'm a member, and it comes when it comes, and I read it and enjoy it and pass it on to friends. But I bought a magazine the other day, I've been kind of on it lately, buying magazines. I think it's because it's summer, and sometimes I just want to sit outside for 10 minutes, and I could take stitching out there, but sometimes I just want to sit there and look at a magazine, look at, creative ideas. So I bought this Quilter's World. It says summer 2024. Quilter's World. And I'm going to show you a quilt, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But I saw this quilt last night or yesterday. I'll make sure you can't get anything but just the picture. This quilt is out of Charm Pack. They use Charm Packs. Look at that green. Isn't that cool? I just love that green as a background. I've used pink as a background. I used gray. I used black. I've used taupe. I've used prints. I've used whatever. But never used green as a background on a whole quilt. So guess what I'm going to do? Anyway, this is called Summer Picnic, and it was designed by Debora Rivera. But is that just pretty? It's just pretty. So that's kind of my new thing. Here it is. Let me see if I can get rid of enough of it that it'll be okay to just show you. Here it is in kind of just a different idea of colorway. And that was just with white. You couldn't see that as well. But I told the husband last night, I'm thinking I'm gonna use up some of my greens I found and make a green quilt. That's just speaking to me. So, that's cool. Then I realized I sewed these this morning. I'm working on another block for my another EPP block, and I like, see, that's what I do with green. I throw it in here and there, or I make it a leaf, or whatever, or use it as a border, but I don't know. I think we need to rethink some of our backgrounds sometimes, and maybe take a bold step. So when I get it done, Colleen, I'm going to show it. I promise. And it's going to be bright and green, but I hope you like it. So that's green. I also, while I was cleaning my shelves, cut a whole bunch of these squares. Yeah, I don't know where I moved some stuff. Let me see. I think I cut these at 9.5. 8.5. 8.5. Because I have to show you this too. This is where I put leftover strips. And now I've started adding bits and things I find that is not enough to do a whole lot with. And green. There's green in here. And I have found, I found an older set. Oh, look at these kind of solids. Anyway, so my grandson, who's making his own quilt, kind of inspired me to, as I cleaned, put more stuff in here. And so I'm thinking this fall and winter, I'm thinking for fall and winter, really, we all have quilts. I've made quilts for my sons and my daughter-in-law and my grandkids, and my husband has a quilt, and we use them all. But I've never really changed out the blankets and put quilts on my beds. I have bedspreads with, quilts and runners and stuff in places at times, but not to just use as a blanket. I've not done that. And I thought, what better use? I can separate this out in some colors and make just some blankets for all the beds. Some quilts that we put on in place of blankets or in addition to blankets. Because it can get kind of cold here in northeast Missouri and or northwest Missouri, which is where my son lives, and one of my sons. And I'm gonna get that done, and I'm just gonna use some different things I've seen. So I'm gonna make some strip piece quilts, string quilts, and then I watch some other people, and they use like remember when your adding machines used to have tape? They'll just sew. I've tried to do some crumb stuff. I think that's a little more creative than I want this to be. I want this to be really purposeful, but the creator in me needs for it to be kind of matchy and cute too. So anyway, all right, so that's cleaning and thinking. Oh, I found one more thing I didn't realize I had purchased. So this is Lori Holt vintage, comes from the Fat Quarter Shop, 8-inch vintage sunburst. And I have several of these tablets because I really do like to paper piece. And I really do, I have different sizes of different stuff. Like I have a pineapple quilt that I'm working on that I want to get back to when I go through this box and find some of the colors that I've been using in it. And I thought, it would be fun to do some stuff with this block and some other of those blocks maybe, and use up some of that fabric and make some cute stuff too. So that was a fun find on a shelf where it did not belong. I'm finally starting to put this quilt together. I have it about, this is my, I don't know, I told a friend just a minute ago that, let me get a little closer, maybe get rid of that glare back behind us because that's my sun coming in my window. But anyway, my kitchen window. This kind of a Tilda calico, I don't know, but I can't wait to get it all put together. It's over on my design board, but I just think it's gonna be so pretty. I just love her stuff. I am still just crazy about the birds. And I found another thing that I really love. I don't guess it's in any of this fabric. Well, I love paisleys. Ugh, I love paisleys. So, I've got all that going on. I've got this ready to quilt now. It's all loaded up. I just got to go cut the batting, and when I get done here, that's what I'm going to do. And I have my purple one block wonder, my purple and blue with the butterflies and stuff. And I have, let me see if maybe I can turn you and show you those two things without doing too much. Would you look at that? Isn't that going to be cute? And it's just a table runner. But it's just a, I'm just going to, maybe I can go a little closer. There we go. There we go. You can kind of see the designs coming around in those. But like I said, I've been really busy and I haven't, today and Friday I'm going to finish them up and get them quilted because I'm teaching a class next week on the One Block Wonder stuff. So, I sat down last night and look at this. I filled up all of those there. All of those. I had emptied all of those in the last week or so. I had a big old pile here, and so I sat down when I got done messing in here yesterday with some cleaning stuff. I sat down and filled all of those. And isn't it nice to have a whole bunch of bobbins filled up? I've kind of I love Aurifil Thread, and so I had bought this cone to use on my long arm, and somebody said, I just buy a cone of Aurifil and put on the side. And so I bought myself this little stand, Amazon, and I have no affiliates, so I'm not trying to sell things to people. I'm just showing you what I like. Anyway, I've kind of gotten used to that. I really kind of like that, sitting there and having got lots of fabric, and I don't really change my color to matchy match. I do think this is that dove gray that I used to love to do all my piecing with, but my favorite Aurifil color, I don't think they're using the names anymore as much as numbers, but it used to be called Tapestry Taupe. And so I think that's what I'm going to get, because I think that'll make a nice neutral to do lights and whatever, because on the long arm, I will put butter or Tapestry Taupe, Omni, Superior Thread stuff on just about anything. I mean, sometimes they don't work, but if there's any way they can, I always throw that out for somebody to go, oh yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So I've been working on my task planner, but here's what I've figured out. They don't work for me. Organizational books don't work for me in the traditional way. So I'm going to go back to what I used to do, and I tried a couple of different pages, maybe 5 pages there. Kind of caused some anxiety, which happens. But anyway, so this is what the inside of my task planner looks like. I don't know, you might be getting glare. Is that a little better? And I think I'm going to take this part over here that says notes and write some ongoing projects. Okay? And if I have something really important come up for a day, I'm going to make sure I put on there. Make sure I have some socializing going on. Hold myself accountable about that. But here where it says tasks, there's a piece over here that says tasks. Maybe you can see that. I got too much light going on everywhere. Anyway, I do better if I write down what I've accomplished in a day. That motivates me to see if I can beat it the next day. Or, so like if this is today, if I get ready to sit down and start putting several days in a row in here this afternoon, I can start with, I did a little EPP. I gave my dog a bath. I took a walk. All the things that I've done. I've made my bed. I put away some more fabric that I had in here because I'm trying to get better about doing a little bit of that every day. And I took care of an appointment, and now I've done this, and anyway, and I picked thread. This is the thread I'm going to use on my swirly one block over there. Isn't that pretty? I don't know. I like variegated thread. I know that looks real yellowy, but it's got a lot of purple and green in it, and I think it's gonna, and it's a 40 weight. It's an Omni-V 9015, but I think it's just gonna look really pretty, and it will look really cool on the backing, because I have used some Robin Pickens thatched for the backing, and so it's that beautiful blue color that I showed you last week, and I think this will look really pretty on it. So I think. Oh, I know. So, these are my favorite scissors, which is what I'm getting ready to talk about. Some more favorites, favorite colors, favorite scissors, favorite tools. So I saw a little thing on, I don't know, one of the socials where Art Gallery Fabrics was asked, what's your favorite tool? What's your favorite tool? Well, I couldn't, I love these Karen K. Buckley scissors. And I love my clappers. Do you use clappers? Tell me in the comments if you use clappers. And while we're on comments, let's talk about that. Tell me what your favorite tool is. Tell me if you use clappers. Tell me where you're from. I like to, like we were talking yesterday with the Sisterlies there, they want to see Missouri Star. If they don't want to come to Missouri, come to Missouri. Come to Missouri. It's a great place. Sometimes on TV they make us look like we're all kind of, whatever, uneducated or something. But we're not. We're not. We're just normal people like everybody else. And it's a beautiful, beautiful state. My husband and I travel a lot of states looking at things, and we're doing it more and more all the time now. And I always tell him when we go take a hike, we live in a beautiful area of Missouri. And then we took a ride. I took his mom. His mom is 91, and we took her on a little ride Sunday. through some farmland. We've got beautiful countrysides and lots of fun stuff to see. And we're a quilt mecca. We have quilt stores everywhere, not too far from the next one. So, but I have to show you, this is my favorite. This is my favorite tool. And I'm going to show you why. Because I want to end on a note that we need to really end on. Or I think we need to end on today. So this is one of my first fabric fail one block wonders, but I really like it because I think it's beautiful. And it has, I learned a skill of putting the triangles in the one block wonders, which if you look at the books that go with that, they have cubes and squares, and they tell you exactly how to do it. They don't really give you a pattern. They give you instruction and let you think it through yourself. So I had this already. I'd picked out backing fabric, and I had it already. I was going to quilt this, and then I'm going to quilt this, and then I'm going to quilt the one I have on the board, and then I'm going to get the bindings on them, and then I'll have something to take to sit and stitch. Well, you know how that goes. Anyway, okay, you can see where I've been using my Jack the Ripper, my seam ripper. Can you tell why? Give it a look. This is a half size too small. And I was going to leave it and talk about mistakes. So, then I talked myself out of it because I don't like, it just didn't look right. It didn't look right. It bugged me. So if it bugs me bad enough to get the seam ripper out, and things do. And I use my seam ripper, and I make no apologies about it. And I don't beat myself up over it. I have in the past, but I don't anymore. I think that I've taught enough classes lately and done enough stuff with new quilters and watched enough QuiltTube and all of those things that everybody's in a panic. I didn't sew it right. I can't cut this. Oh my gosh. And am I cutting? And it takes time to build that confidence. It takes time. And if you're watching people who have made their living out of quilting and designing and all of those things, they are so practiced and so good at what they do. But that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy learning from them, cutting fabric up, learning from your mistakes. If we never make mistakes, we never figure out how to prevent them from happening again. And, I have yet to see a perfect quilt. And I've looked at a lot of them. I just think that we get, yes, I love pointy points. I love pointy points. I really love pointy points. And I fuss at myself a little bit when I don't make pointy points. But I have this. I have a correction tool. And if it's bad enough that I'm thinking about it all day, I take it out and I try again. But if I can just look at it and go, okay, that's good enough. That's about the best I can get it. Let it go. Let it go and go to the next thing. If you cut your fabric and it's a little crooked and you can't straighten it up, it's a piece of fabric. Yes, fabric is very expensive these days. And, you don't want to waste a lot of fabric. But that can be used in another project. Something cut down. Or rethink the process you were going through. If you were doing something where you were cutting up, or, so that you could trim down and get more exact, maybe you don't need to be making it as big as you were. Maybe if you just go ahead and straighten that up as gently as you can, you still have enough to do that. Or you have enough to work on the precision and not trim so much. So don't panic. Just enjoy the process. And buy the best tools you can buy. And don't be afraid to use them. And a correction tool such as this, you wouldn't take a class in math and do it in ink pen unless it was erasable, So And I like these little seam fixes. This stuff kind of pulls the threads. You know, you can kind of do it like an eraser and pull the threads. So anyway, that's been weighing on me a little bit, watching people and seeing how scared they are to make that stitch or to make that cut or to try it, or, you know, to be so upset because they have to get their seam ripper out. Well, I get it. I've been through all those emotions, and I know I've quilted for a really long time. But what I really think that we as a group, a community, we need to encourage each other with, it's fabric. You can use it for something else if you mess it up. You can maybe cut it down and zhuzh it a little or readjust a little. Or you can pull out a seam eraser, a seam fix, jack the ripper, whatever you want to call it, and do it again. Just do it again. It'll be okay. I promise it'll be okay. Bye, Aunt Billy. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.